One of the biggest threats to the MAGA agenda isn't Democrats. It's all the RINOs, the Republicans in name only. There are several red states that are actually being governed by, a lot of those fake conservatives. But Andy Roth is with the State Freedom Caucus. He's the president, and he is here to try and fix that problem one race at a time. You and your group do such great work. We're so excited to have you back here in studio. So let's just go into the Freedom Caucus itself and just going through state by state and just how different that is from other, we see other conservative branding all the time. It's not always conservative, Andy.
No, and thanks for having me, both of you. Red states, almost all of them, literally are governed by Democrats that have an R after their name because they live in districts that are very red. They want to get into office, and they know they can't have a D after their name, so they put an R after their name, get elected, and then vote like Democrats. South Carolina is like that. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, well, not Wyoming anymore, South Dakota, like on and on and on. This is a big problem. It's one of the most underreported stories, I think, in the country. But when we have a Freedom Caucus, a state Freedom Caucus, we come in there and we contrast ourselves with these fake Republicans so much to the point where the voters are like, well, wait, I guess I have a squishy Republican for a state rep or a state senator because this Freedom Caucus is speaking the truth. And in Wyoming, we had only 8 members in our Freedom Caucus, but they quickly doubled to 16, and now they're in charge of the Wyoming House. The Speaker is a Freedom Caucus member. The Pro Tem is a Freedom Caucus member. And for the first time ever, they passed property tax cuts, universal school choice. They banned non-citizens from voting, on and on and on. So we have the model. We know how it works. We just need to do it in all 50 states.
Well, I know a lot of people in Texas would be interested in that model that worked in Wyoming. When you look around the country right now, though, I feel like there's a lot more awareness on the part of voters about this problem, although a lot more work still needs to be done.
Yeah.
So just thinking about since you were last here, it seems like progress is being made. You can tell us, is Wyoming indicative of a trend you see across the country, or is that too much?
For Texas, there still needs to be a lot of work. There's 1, maybe 2 good members of the State House, Brian Harrison, David Lowe, great Americans, great Texans. But I think we need another election cycle in Texas before we can do anything here. But Texas needs a Freedom Caucus, and the country needs a Texas Freedom Caucus, and I would love nothing more than to make that happen.
Yeah. It feels like you can mess with Texas right now, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. You can certainly mess with Texas. They're messing with it all the time in the state legislature. And so the trend of the last 5 years, though, is people like myself did move from California to Texas and other places. Yeah. And at least, those people like myself, very committed to helping these states redden. And one of the first things you notice is exactly what you described. You look around and go, wait a minute. These aren't actually Republicans. This is terrible. And this is sort of a uniparty of its own in these places. So what you guys do is provide the model to change. And now you have these success stories. So, and you have, I assume, a lot of work to do in 2026. Yeah. Which, of course, probably started a long time before yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And so what are your plans, moving forward this year?
Well, basically, we'll listen to any state lawmaker that wants to talk to us and see if they're a good fit to go into a new state. Texas in particular, last year during the primaries, you were wildly successful. A lot of freshmen got elected. We thought we could put together a Texas Freedom Caucus, and then most of them flaked out. Mm-hmm. And you're right. There is growing awareness. That's why those elections went the way they did. But the swamp never sleeps, and they will always, always, always fight back. So we have to just punch twice as hard and as often if we're going to get ahead.
Let's get into 2 states in particular,
yes,
with South Carolina and Arizona, because you put up a post on X saying, go Ralph, when Ralph Norman and Andy Biggs, statewide in states, when they have their own Freedom Caucuses. It's not a coincidence. it's of movement. So take us into these two races.
Well, so let me back up just a little bit. There's that meme that has the human brain, and it lights up more and more until you've got full enlightenment.
So you get to the galaxy brain. Yes.
A state that doesn't have a Freedom Caucus in it is like the brain is barely lit.
I love this.
So then the next step is you need a Freedom Caucus, and then the brain starts to light up a little bit more. And then you have a state take over the state house, like in Wyoming, and then it's really starting to pulse. Mm-hmm. The true magic, though, when full enlightenment occurs, is when you have a state Freedom Caucus and a Freedom Caucus governor. And when you have those two things, you're virtually unstoppable. Ralph Norman in South Carolina just announced for governor over the weekend. He has been a member in good standing with the House Freedom Caucus. I love him like a brother. He's amazing. I think he's going to go in there, and spending is his number one issue. So I can see him doging that entire state up and down. And there's a lot of corruption in Columbia, South Carolina. It's run by trial lawyers. It's awful. And then Andy Biggs, another member of the House Freedom Caucus, he's running for governor in Arizona. Arizona is one of the most important states in the union because it's purple and because it goes back and forth on presidential races. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to turn that brick red. And the one thing that Andy Biggs told me, which I still remember like it was yesterday, was when he was first elected to Congress, he said, Andy, in order to be successful, you need to know that everybody is going to lie to you. And once you know that, then you can fight, because it's all about being buddies with the different lawmakers in a legislative chamber. And that's not the goal. The goal is to limit the size and scope of government. And as long as you have that focus, you're unstoppable.
The goal is to actually win. That's a really strange concept. I don't know where you got that from. South Carolina is always of interest to me because this is a place where, I mean, it really should be, I want to say famously, but it should be known to more people than it is, where the Republican Party has been a disaster. Or Republican candidates, let's say, Republican office holders, whether they be in the Senate or elsewhere, have been terrible on so many issues. And it's the poster child for what you're talking about, right? South Carolina is a place where you assume it's redder than red. It's supposed to be a bunch of hard right people, and yet they're represented by people who are really the worst, fakers out there. State politics there, I hear, is crazy. So if you have someone who is a legit candidate who really cares about getting it done, like Norman, running, he's got to have some obstacles in his way on the path to victory.
Yeah, I mean, the attorney general there, who's very much a part of the swamp, is probably going to run. The lieutenant governor could run. The good thing about South Carolina politics is that they have runoffs, which is good. So the top two finishers have to go into a runoff. The bad thing about South Carolina politics, which is why Lindsey Graham always gets reelected, is because they don't have fully closed Republican primaries. Mm-hmm. So Democrats who feel like a Democrat has no shot of winning statewide will vote in the primary and the runoff. That is something that we could change if Governor Norman is elected.
Well, and Tom Tillis isn't running again this time around. So I think that's an interesting dynamic, right? Every time he would go on X, he would get ratioed, right? He would be like, oh, I'm just for like sunshine today. And they'd be like, Tom Tillis, we are not putting up with this. We know all the crap that you're saying. So it does feel like there's a movement going on, right? We know it's just MAGA. We know there's like so much, but I feel like there's a heightened interest right now, even just state by state. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a groundswell. The problem is we need really good candidates to run, and we've got that with Biggs and Norman. But other states or other U.S. senators, it's very expensive to run. That's what I'm looking forward to the most over the next several months is these candidates to step up and run against, or for the seat for Tom Tillis's seat and that sort of thing, because we need to fill Congress back up with good, solid conservatives.
Well, let's talk about Arizona a little bit more, because this is, as you said, a very significant state. This is a battleground, right? It's a war zone, and has been since before 2020. But since 2020, I mean, this is a place that is ground zero, right? But with Biggs, you have someone who's a founding member of the House Freedom Caucus. You have someone who is known nationally. So that's really exciting. What kind of obstacles do you think he's going to face, though? This is not going to be an easy thing.
Well, he does have a primary, and his opponent was initially endorsed by Trump, and then Biggs got into the race. She proved to be and remains an incompetent campaigner. Trump saw that, and then he decided to endorse Biggs as well. So I think he does have a path to victory. Arizona, even though they call it a purple state, I think to its core is a red state. And Biggs is the kind of person that will attract those people to the polls. I will say one other thing. The Arizona Freedom Caucus, they're made up of state senators and state reps, but a former member ran for Maricopa County Recorder. And I know when people hear that, they're like, oh, county recorder. What is that, like a notch above, dog catcher? The Maricopa County Recorder is in charge of all elections and all voter registration in, I think, the second or third largest county in the country. And an Arizona Freedom Caucus member ran for that, won it, and he reduced the voter rolls of all names that have been inactive or been found to be illegal. He got rid of all that. And then he's also cleaning up the way the elections operate. So you're going to have better elections in Arizona because that's a state where you don't know the results for like 30 days, while Florida is figuring it out before midnight.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get better elections in Arizona. Andy Biggs is going to be a fantastic governor who's going to doge that state too and make it permanently red. And so I think it's one of the more exciting races out there.
I remember living in Arizona and they just mailed me the ballot. Like, you didn't have to ask for them to mail it. It just showed up and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll fill this out at home. But then, like, being the conservative that I am, I'm not giving it to you any earlier than it needs to be. It's going in on election day. I'm putting it right into the box myself because I don't trust any of these people. Beyond just South Carolina and Arizona, like, if our audience wants to get involved and just have more say in what's going on in the state that they live in, wherever that may be across the country, what should people be doing right now?
They should find out who their state rep and their state senator is. A lot of people don't know because all the attention is on D.C., but there's a lot of bad things that are going on in their state capital. So they need to go to their legislative website, find out who their state rep and their state senator is, and then go to our website at statefreedomcaucus.org and see if they have a Freedom Caucus. If they do, they need to reach out and support them. If they don't, they need to call up their state rep and then their state senator and ask them why they're not in one. And I will say that even blue states need a Freedom Caucus. We have a Maryland Freedom Caucus. They are amazing. They stopped a lot of bad policies, even in a Democrat supermajority legislature. And there are conservatives in blue states, and they deserve representation too. And one day, I believe it, one day Maryland will be red. And we want to help make that happen.
We're going to take them back one state at a time. They're all going to start flipping red. Andy Roth, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.